that has just been asked of me in my capacity as the Minister of Finance by the Honourable Member for St. Christopher number 8. And in providing this Honourable House with an answer to this question, let it be noted that this Labour government, of which I am the leader, is very proud of its record of openness, of transparency, and accountability to the citizens of this, our very proud nation. I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that since assuming office, my government took a very deliberate policy to provide access to the media through the granting of a record number of licenses to radio stations and an equally high record number of printed papers that are in circulation in such a small country of ours. We have also sought to corporatize the once state-owned ZIZ radio and television stations, which are now run by a board of directors, leading to greater access to the citizens of this, our fair land. My government, over its time in office, has gone even further, and almost in every facet of our country's development, we have sought to consult the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. For example, our model annual budget consultations are of such an example. Our level of consultation, Mr. Speaker, in our electoral reform process is yet another of such an example. The process of inviting input from the general public on every piece of significant legislation is also a fact, Mr. Speaker, and not an opinion. As leader of this country, Mr. Speaker, I subject myself to monthly press conferences and a weekly one-hour radio program where citizens, those resident here or resident anywhere in the world for that matter, can ask of me any relevant question about our country's development. Mr. Speaker, my government's record on providing answers to our citizens and keeping them abreast of the work we continue to do for them is sterling. We, on many occasions, have come face to face with them as a government in our face-to-face events and our cabinet briefings presented weekly by the Minister of Information is a great source of information for the general public. Mr. Speaker, in light of my government's strong record at providing answers to the public, of being open, our record of being honest with the people and yielding ourselves to questions posed here in Parliament, on the many talk programs, through press conferences, in the printed press, and by the common man on the street, it is important, Mr. Speaker, to tell history's tale. Mr. Speaker, I was a member of the opposition for 6 years before I became the Prime Minister of this country. And the former PAM administration, the very same party that the member for St. Christopher number 8 represents here in Parliament, in its quest to rule our country without much accountability to the people, amended the statutory rules of this Honorable House. An amendment that effectively, Mr. Speaker, curtailed the contributions of myself and other members of the opposition then from extensively participating in debates on the people's business that came before this Honorable House. In fact, Mr. Speaker, in 1 year, that administration allowed Parliament to meet only 3 times in order to silence the opposition in this Honorable House here, Mr. Speaker. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, and even though the question raised by the Honorable Member opposite is already public knowledge, as the information is contained within the very budget estimates that came to this Parliament only a few months ago. The estimates which were laid before this Honorable House annually. And I advise honorable members to take the time to pursue and to peruse as much as possible these important documents so that we do not waste people's time, Mr. Speaker, in this Honorable House. And so I am proud to continue to confirm my government's record of accountability, and thus I will provide a detailed breakdown of the cost to government of buildings being rented in order to carry out the people's business. This information has been laid to this Parliament before, Mr. Speaker. But since some of us want to be redundant, I will repeat the information for the benefit of those, Mr. Speaker, who wish to be redundant in this Parliament. And so the cumulative amounts, Mr. Speaker, having renting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 number of buildings, it's $133,780.62 per month. Got it? Get it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.